Hello everybody and welcome back to a slightly different episode of Flyout. This time, instead of us starting with a building segment, I'm starting with a bit of, well, me speaking. Today, they have just dropped a brand new update which means that boats work, kind of. You can now build seaplanes, and we did build a seaplane not long ago. It was this. We eventually called it the Hydra, but there's also a jet version of it called the Mud Skipper. I don't want to use that one for now. Maybe we'll use that later, but we're going to try and get this thing to actually work on the water today. So what we need to do in order to get this thing to actually work is basically put empty fuel tanks around this thing, because those are what provides the buoyancy at the moment. So we can drag these down, make them empty, but obviously these are kind of obvious, so I'm just going to set them to a hull material. And now we have these kind of buoyant areas around our landing pods. It means the collision isn't going to be quite as good, but if I try and make it fully enclosed inside of the actual thing, it's just not really going to provide enough buoyancy for us, because you can imagine the fuselage is the buoyancy on this thing. That doesn't provide any buoyancy, that's just mass. So adding these just around it is probably our best chance here. Okay, so obviously you can't see them at the moment, but that's on purpose, but we've got one up the front here, one down at the bottom, which is kind of following the shape of the front of this thing, and then one at the back, just in case the tail happens to dip in. We get a little bit of buoyancy from that. That's not too accurate to the actual shape, but we can adjust that slightly. That'll do. We'll call that good enough. And then obviously these ones on the pontoons. And a quick thank you to a couple of the people from the official Flyout Discord, which will be linked in the description, for providing me with this file that allows me to spawn at a bunch more places. So there is actually a water spawn in here. I don't know how well this is going to work. We'll try it. Why not? Okay. Yep, that's not worked. Okie dokie, a lot of tweaking later, and I mean a lot. We've moved around the wings a little bit, we moved them forwards, these are now buoyancy devices, and I've actually moved this like slightly in front of the nose. Yeah, it's a little bit tough, especially to get something this flippin' heavy to float. This thing is 46 tons dry, because it's massive. I mean, look at the size of the guys in there. There we go. If we offset the fuselage now, our pilot isn't in the center anymore. So we will take this for a little bit of a test flight, and hopefully we can touch this thing down in the water. And here we are on the lake airfield. As you can see, we get to take off on land, and then we're fully surrounded by water. So we should be able to very quickly test out landing on the water in this thing. So one thing I would just like to add a little disclaimer for before we actually try and land here is that these water physics are very rudimentary at the moment. They're not particularly advanced. This is the first iteration that we're going to get in Flyout. I'm sure that if this is the way that they want to go with the water physics, then they will be working on it further in the future. But as you can see, we have these retractable floats that we can put up to the side. We can retract these flaps in, and the plane works just as it did before. I have done a couple of visual changes, so you can see the fuselage is a little deeper. The wings are a little bit thinner, but also slightly longer. And then the tail and the engines are exactly the same, and it's got this nice kind of dark blue camouflage, kind of looks like a naval, naval, yeah, maritime patrol aircraft of the US Air Force. I kind of wanted to go for the color of the PBJ, but yeah, it's not the most accurate color to that, but I think it's neat. So now that we've flown around a little bit, I think we're probably... I keep right-clicking that wing. We're probably far enough away that we can start looking towards a landing here. So I've got to be very careful, because it's really easy to dip too much of the nose of this thing in the water and basically flip upside down. And if you do that, if the engines touch the water, the whole craft basically explodes in one. And that also happens if I drop below about 50 kilometers an hour while I'm in the water. So those are a couple of things we have to avoid. Let's extend these big old flaps out here. That's going to allow us to touch down just a little bit slower to stop us from generating excess drag and immediately nosing over. And then we don't want to go in with too much rake, because then we're going to just hit the tail, but that is about right. Cut the throttle, and we just need to be careful that we don't let the nose go too far in the water. We just got to give it a little bit of elevator to stop that from happening. We'll bring in the flaps, and just don't quite let the speed drop below 50, because unfortunately I'd love to stop, but it just does immediately nose this aircraft over, which is probably an issue on my side. That's probably a design issue, but now for the really challenging part, and the part that I've not tested, which I'm sure you're going to enjoy. Taking off again. Yeah, this could be tough. But hang on. One thing we got to be careful of is if we give too much throttle and go too quick, we're obviously going to nose over. But there we go. Surprisingly effective, actually, at taking off from the water. I'm very impressed by that. I had never tested that, so I had no idea whether that was going to work or not. And luckily, it seems like it has. So that's nice to know. We've built something somewhat competent, and we're ready for our mission. So obviously, this is a very big float plane. You can build smaller float planes. You could put floats on a single-engine fighter and kind of make a naval-going variant of it. And I'm so glad they've done this. I'm probably going to make a couple of float planes now. I imagine what I'll do fairly shortly is build a fighter and then make a float plane variant of it, because that's something that I think could be quite fun to do. But yeah, this is super cool, and I'm super glad that they've added this. It really came out of nowhere. I was not expecting this whatsoever, but yeah, it's awesome that they've gone through with this, and it opens up so many possibilities for things that people can do in this game. It feels like such a minor thing when you're in a flight sim, but having the ability to land on water and have water physics opens up so many different design ideas for planes and hydroplanes and chronoplans. I mean, that's something that I might put on my bucket list now. This lake is huge, so I'm sure we could try a chronoplan design. I don't know how this game models ground effect, so I'm presuming it has some semblance of it, but I'm not entirely sure. So I might ask around and see if chronoplans are possible before I go ahead and try and design one. But yeah, this has been a bit of a short video. Unfortunately, I don't have a huge amount of time today because I'm doing something else, which should come out fairly soon. But I just wanted to update you guys on where Flyout is going, because obviously you guys are going to be able to get your hands on it fairly soon. I think there is a tentative release date, do not quote me on this, of the 20th of November. That is not... Do not construe that as an official announcement of the release date. I'm just letting you guys know what I know, and I do not have a direct feed to the developer, so if that is wrong, please don't come with your pitchforks, and also don't go complain to the dev, because this game is going to take some time. It's not there yet. There's not a lot of things to do once you've built a plane, and I don't want to lull people into a false sense of security thinking that this game is a fully complete product and it's going to be releasing in an amazing state. It's releasing as you're seeing it now. All I'm doing, I'm building planes, I'm flying them around a bit. There's not a lot more to do yet, so don't get your hopes up too much for like scenarios and stuff. Sprocket is in that situation, but Sprocket's been out for a hell of a lot longer, so please just bear that in mind with this game. And there we go. That's what happens if I'm not careful enough. As you can see, early access and early water physics. The water is currently opaque. It wasn't for a moment. They did actually make transparent water, but it was breaking clouds. So yeah, this is the jet version, which I called the Mud Skipper, and this I've not tested. Oh, one of the engines doesn't have any throttle input. Okay. Anyway, that aside, I also don't know. These are obviously much higher than the propeller engines were, so we might have some troubles with this thing nosing over on takeoff and not actually wanting to, you know, get into the air again. Weight distribution could also be a little bit strange, so we'll just have to kind of see. I'm imagining this is going to be a little bit tough and probably not go the best, but, you know, we'll try. And there we go. Touchdown in the water, bouncing a little bit. That's okay. I'm a little bit wary that the engines are probably about to just flame out. I don't really want them to do that. I'm trying to save them from going. This is why the idle throttle was so high. I'm assuming it's just my bad engine design that's causing that to happen. But we are stopping. We are eventually going to stop, hopefully. And we are sinking. We're sinking. We're sinking. And we've exploded. Well, with that one, I think we're going to call it quits. And we're going to say that is a perfectly good way to end this video. If you've enjoyed this one, please leave a like, comment, and or subscribe, and I will see you in the future. Let me know if you want to see me build anything cool that can land on the water. But for now, ciao. And as always, a huge thank you to this channel's patrons: Badger, Burning Potato, CamJam135, Cody and DJ Pete, Skavunga, Masu929, Sad Cat, Just Casual Season 1, Last Out Another, Mark Marley Vesset, Nicholas K, Rolls Spock, and Ryan Brody, the Canadian Emperor Zerasheim, and Zeit Wolverine. Thank you so much for your support.